Hi, everybody. It's great to join you. Thank you so much for joining me. I really am grateful to everybody who takes the time to join live and those who listen to the recording and those who give me feedback because I'm getting chizuk. So I'm just saying I'm really grateful to this community of everybody who's being here. And I really appreciate seeing your faces, seeing your names, seeing you come on. It gives me a lot of chizuk and I get to immerse myself in the thinking of Rabasha, which always gives me chizuk, and so I hope that it's helpful to everybody else who's joining, and just to share this space where we get to grow a little bit higher. Hi, great to see your face. Thanks for coming on, so I can get to see you looking so beautiful and radiant. Hi, everybody. Okay, so Parshas Naso. First of all, I hope you all had a wonderful Yontif. I hope that the Yontif of Shavuos was that in some way you felt meaningfully connected to the Torah and that it was okay being at the bottom of the hill. That was what we took away, remember, from Shavuos, that we don't have to think we're on the top of the hill or pretend we're at the top of the hill or even expect that we're going to get to the top of the hill. But it's okay to be at the bottom of the hill. And actually, not only is it okay, but it's actually the better way to approach life is if we feel that we're at the bottom of the hill, that we're just starting out, that's actually the beginning of all of Avodas Hashem, is being at the beginning. And any if we feel that we're there, we've reached it, then we're actually pretty much holding by nowhere. But as long as we realize we're just starting out, then we're actually prepared to grow. So, Parshas Nosai, the Rav Asher is going to address the fact that we have in this parsha, we have both the Birkas Kohanim and we have the whole parsha of the mitzvah of the Nazir. Okay, so first of all, it starts off with a question. Financial blessing and blessing in the home. Or rather abundant sustenance, meaning like financial abundance, and blessing in the home. He said we might think that they're interrelated, but they're actually two different things. And not necessarily does a person who has a lot of influx of finances have blessing in the home. And the opposite is also true. Not necessarily does one who may not have an abundant income miss blessing in the home. That they're two very different aspects of life that the Western world would have us, the commercialized Western world would have us believe that they're interrelated, that the only way that you can have happiness is by having lots and lots of money. But really, what we're going to understand is that it's not about how much money a person makes, and it's not about income. And even though obviously it's challenging to be financially challenged, okay, we're not going to say that's easy. It's definitely challenging, and yet it's the amount of blessing we experience in our home is a very different experience than the financial income that comes towards the home. That's what he begins by saying. He said, a person could have the blessing, Birchas Hashem hi ta'ashir, that the blessing comes from Hashem, and it gives him wealth. But a person could have what it says, Yesh mana, no, 1 second, he says, Yesh Aisher, Shemor lebalav l'rasai. There's the kind of person who has wealth given to him and it's bad for him. It's not good for him. It doesn't give him a blessing in his home. What's the difference? Why does one person have lots of blessing, but very little actual experience of bracha in his home? He may have financial blessing, but he doesn't feel the blessing in his home. Another person may actually have not such a lot of financial income, but have a tremendous amount of bracha coming into his home. So the tzaddik of Avram Mordechai Meger, Zecher Tzaddik Livracha, he said, how could we see the difference? How can we tell the difference between one who has Birchas Hashem and one who has he may have income, but it's not good for him. What does it mean? He says like this. The one who gets satisfaction from what he has is the person who always says, Dai, Dayenu. It's already enough for me to feel good that I have this. He takes the lesson of Dai, and he says, we know Kadosh Baruch Hu says, one of the names of Kadosh Baruch Hu is Shin and Dalet and Yud. That's the name of Hashem that's written on the mezuzah. And Kadosh Baruch Hu said, die to this world. The Kadosh Baruch Hu placed a limit, a physical limit on this world. And when a person says, die, this is enough for me. This is Ad She Yivlu Sifsoi Sechem Miloimar Die. The time is, when are we going to be happy? When are we going to feel fulfilled? When our lips are so almost tired out from saying, wow, die, wow, oh my gosh, this is well, wow, die. Look how much I have. Look how much I have. We were on Shavuos. Some people have a custom to make a Levir Sachag, a kind of a sitting together at the end of Yontif when it's the final Yontif. We don't have Shalosh Yudas on Yontif. But I was sitting with my daughters. There were no men around, so we were able to sing a little bit. And I decided to sing some of the songs in Pesach because, it's the end of the Sfis Oimer, the end of Shavuos. We're coming, the whole period of time from Seder night until the end of Shavuos it was just waiting for the giving of the Torah. And so we sang Dayenu. And so one of my married daughters says to me, I still don't understand. How could it be Dayenu to come to the Yam Suf and Hashem not split the sea for us? How could that have been Dayenu? In what way is that Dayenu to come to Yam Suf? The Mitzvah are behind us. And what would it be good enough if the split hadn't split? Then they would have come and wiped us out. How could it be Dayenu? And the point is a lesson from Reb Elia Rot. Reb Elia Rot, Zechet Tzadik Livracha, was a meshamish. He served Talmidei Chachamim, most famously a number of rabbis in the Zvila dynasty. He was their personal aide. He was a tzaddik and a leader and a mashgiach in his own right. And at one point he was desperately poor. He was lacking a lot of financial means. His home was a picture of loneliness and poverty. His wife was unfortunately mentally and emotionally unstable. She was unwell. She spent many years in and out of the hospital. To the degree that many of you may have heard this story from me before, but on one Leil HaSeder, he had prepared the entire room and set up the whole Seder table, and she, in a deranged fit, grabbed the tablecloth and pulled everything off onto the floor. Everything smashed on the floor. About Seder, where some people are makpid not to even use anything that touches the floor. And here his entire Seder table crashed to the floor. And he had one guest that night, and he managed to somehow rearrange some kind of a Seder. And he said, you see my home? You see, he said, this poverty and loneliness calling from every corner. And you might think that this is the opposite of the grandeur and the gadlus that a Seder table is supposed to radiate. And he said, no, this is where the Rebbeinu Shalom is dwelling. This is Kavod Hashem. Here, in this whatever you're seeing here, this is what it is. He was a person of exceptionally elevated spirit, of true Simchas HaChaim. True Simchas HaChaim. Reb Elia Rot taught us. He was once, he needed a large sum of money, and he didn't know where he was going to get it from. And somebody came to him and gave him an idea where he could get the money that he needed. And he was excited. He said, Baruch Hashem, we have this, this way to go. And he didn't know for sure that it would be successful. He didn't know that he was going to get the money. But as he was getting ready to go, getting ready, putting on his jacket, his hat, getting ready to leave the house, he said, let's thank Hashem because he sent us a way to do the hishtadlus. Even if we don't know what the outcome is, but already we can thank Hashem now for simply the opportunity to be able to put in some effort that maybe is going to work. Dayenu, that's the concept of Dayenu. It's already enough for us to say thank you, even now. Even though we don't know that this particular effort is going to work out, we don't know that the problem is going to be solved in any way or to what degree it might be. But just the opening, when the door is already opened, Dayenu. We've come to the Kriyas Yamsuf. It's even enough to be in the situation of being at the Yamsuf. And at the Yamsuf, we already were able to witness whatever the Kalixol experienced at the Yamsuf. Even if we only saw Nachshon jump into the water and we didn't see the sea split, this was already enough to say, thank you, Ribono Shel Olam, Dayenu. Die that I already saw this. What does it mean enough? It doesn't mean I don't actually still hurt for something else, but it means it's already enough for me to say, thank you, Ribono Shel Olam. It's already enough for me to appreciate and value what it is. This is the opposite of perfectionism. For all the perfectionists among us today, I love you all. Okay, I love all you perfectionists. And I'm waiting for the day and I'm hoping and praying that we will all heal from our internal addiction to perfectionism. And we will understand how to value even the smallest improvement, even the smallest steps, even shifts that we don't even know how long they're going to last. Even if we don't know that this particular hishtadlus is going to work out, but it's already die. It's already enough. And in our family, there was it's customary to say enough is as good as a feast. If we've eaten enough, it doesn't matter how much is left on the table, but if we have enough, it's already enough, right? If we have enough, it doesn't matter whether you had 50 or 55 or 505. If all you needed is 3, doesn't matter how much you have, right? Enough is already as good as a feast. So if we have enough is die. We already had enough. We already had enough to say thank you. It doesn't mean we don't want more. It doesn't mean we don't want more from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We always want more from Hashem. But it means it's already enough to appreciate. It's already enough of a something. It's already a zach. It's already a thing to say thank you for Hashem. And so this capacity, this is what the Rav Avram Motra from Gaul said, that the person who says always, oh, it's enough. This is good enough. I have enough. This is enough. It's enough to say thank you, Hashem. And whoever is accustomed themselves to say, oh, this is good. It's enough. It's enough for me now. And he doesn't keep turning over the walls to try and get more, but he has nachas from what Hashem has given him. That's the bracha of Hashem. And then he becomes a kli for more bracha. And that's what it means. That's the opposite of a person who says that who the Chazal say about him. He has 100 and he wants 200. He has one portion, he wants double. That's the person who it's never enough for him. And that's unfortunately the perfectionist. It's never enough. I did 5 hours, I should have done 10. Someone said this nice thing to me, but they should have said more. I never have the feeling of something being enough. I never have the feeling that I'm enough. There's something inside that says it's never enough, I'm never enough, the world is never enough. Nothing is enough. We can heal that inside ourselves. And one of the ways, again, according to Avram Motra from Ger here, is to hemantik yadaber, is to start saying, oh, it's enough to already say Hashem. It's enough to say, oh, die to thank Hashem. Dayenu. It's already enough to say thank you, Hashem. When we say Dayenu, we're not saying, Hashem, stop here. Don't give me more bracha. The opposite is true. We're saying it's already enough for me to say thank you, Hashem. I appreciate every little aspect of the blessing that you're showing to me, even though I don't know yet where it's going. The Rav Elia may well have gone down, and again, I don't know the end of that particular story, because that wasn't the point of the story. The point of the story wasn't whether Rav Elia actually got that money or not. The point was that simply on the way, it was already enough for Rav Elia to say thank you. Can it be enough for us? I know that in my early years, let's say, I don't know, till I was probably in my late 30s, early 40s, I used to think that, well, let's see what's going to happen, right? Let's see how this unfolds. I'm not going to start saying thank you because I don't know what's going to happen yet. And so I thought that I had to wait until the whole thing was finished to be able to say thank you with a full heart, because I'm still waiting to see. I didn't realize that Dayenu meant it's already enough for me to say thank you. I didn't know this. And I think so many of us feel that how can I say thank you when it may not work out? How can I allow myself to feel gratitude because maybe I'm just waiting for disappointment? Maybe it's just going to be another failure. It's just going to be another thing that doesn't work out. So how can I express gratitude to Hashem when really there's no place for gratitude here? So Eli is teaching us, even if Hashem is only giving us this opportunity, and even if it doesn't work out, but the very fact that he helped me this much is already enough to say thank you. One of the ladies I gave a series in Minchas Yitzchak in Yerushalayim for about 6 or 7 years. It was a beautiful group, and one of the ladies in that group, at one point, she said she was looking. I don't recall whether she was looking for a job or whether she was looking to sell her home and buy a new home. I think at different points in those 6 years, she needed both. She needed more income, and she also needed to sell her home. But she said at a certain point, she sat down with her husband and they made a list of about 20 different ways where they could get income from. And she said she then got some phone call from somebody with a totally different suggestion. And she said, even though it was just a hint, and even though it hadn't come to fruition, and I don't even remember whether it did or not. I don't know whether it actually did come through or not, whatever the phone call was. But she said it was an additional way that Hashem could have sent them money. And from there, she said, thank you, Hashem. She said she realized it's time to say Dayenu also for this. Even just the phone call, even just having received another idea that she said she felt Hashem is saying, here, I even have another idea for you. And it's in my hands. I can send it to you anywhere. I could send you this person. I could send you that person. I can send you in so many ways. I'm going to send it to you. You're going to have what you need, whether it's this or that. It doesn't matter. The takeaway that she took away was, I can thank for the door opening, whether or not it's going to stay open, whether it's going to close. It's a Kadosh Baruch Hu saying, I'm here. I'm waving to you. So a person could choose to view Hashem waving as saying, why would Hashem open a door and then have it close in my face? That's how so many people have expressed it to me when people are in the beginning stages of learning about Emun and Bitachon, and they don't realize how Hashem communicates with us. And they sometimes have a background where maybe they were let down by people who didn't have their back. And so they think, well, Hashem is doing the same as let's say their mother, who sometimes was there, sometimes wasn't, or maybe they had a relative or a teacher who sometimes said nice things or sometimes didn't. And so we naturally extrapolate from the relationships that we have to how Hashem deals with us. And so we don't understand the nuances of a Kadosh Baruch Hu's loving interactions with us, that Hashem is guiding us and showing us that he's there for us. And so sometimes I've heard many women over the years express, why would Hashem chas v'shalom slap me in the face? That Hashem was opening a door and then closed it back in my face. Hashem doesn't slap people in the face. Okay, people may do that. Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't do that. How do we turn it around? How do we make that switch in our mind and help ourselves to know who a Kadosh Baruch Hu is? How do we learn the ways of Hashem? The more that we talk about it, the more that we open our mouths and fill our mouths, until your mouths are tired of saying die. So many brachas So many brachas, enough, Hashem, enough for me to say thank you. We're not saying don't send me more. We're saying it's already so much for me to say thank you, Hashem. Wow, die to say Hashem already. Okay, to keep saying, die. Wow, what an amazing bracha. When we can do that, we are going to train ourselves in the ways of Hashem. We will train ourselves to understand that a Kadosh Baruch Hu, not only doesn't he chas v'shalom trick us or open a door just to close it in our face, but as that client or that student from so many years ago said, when Hashem gave me that phone call, it was showing me I can come in any way. We're not tied or married to this particular direction or that particular direction. And various people could be shlichim, they could be messengers for at different times to show us a different aspect of what could be possible. But we don't rely on any one person for an outcome. We don't rely on any one person for anything. We turn all of our anticipation to Hashem. And that way, if this particular avenue that we were going down, the door closes, we just realize, okay, so Kodesh Baruch was guiding us to a different avenue. It didn't mean that Hashem was letting us down. It means that Hashem has a different plan, and we go according to Hashem's plan. And the more that we say it, the more that we recognize that we can thank. And it's appropriate to thank. It's appropriate not only just to thank, but to feel, wow, even just that door opening, even just the window opening a crack is a sign that Hashem is here and he's showing me the way, even if it doesn't, this particular path that I thought I was going on, even if this particular looks like it's going to be a dead end, but we don't know, but it's already enough. It's already died for me to say, thank you, Rebbeinu Shalom, for opening this door. And when we do that, when we recognize the tiny steps of blessing coming into our lives, and we thank you, Hashem, we make it be enough for us to say thank you. This is going to have powerful repercussions in our lives. On the one hand, it opens us up to being that, to have that bracha, as the pasuk says, Birkas Hashem hitashir. It's the blessing that comes from Hashem. The opposite of Oisha Shomor Lebal of the Rasai, wealth that's given to a person and it's bad for him. Wealth is not always good. Sometimes a person could be given wealth and Hashem says, don't talk to me. You get everything you need. You don't have to come and visit me very often. Sometimes it could be distancing. But if a person takes whatever is given to them, little or large, and says, wow, it's already enough for me to thank you, Hashem. Or maybe in the beginning of a process, it may be just 3 steps into the process, but thank you, Hashem, already now, then we are zeicha to the Birkas Hashem. Then it's a bracha of Hashem because we're able to say every bit of this, every single part of this is enough for me to thank you, Hashem. And when we begin to get into that mindset, again, the opposite of perfectionism, it's the exact opposite of perfectionism. It's every tiny thing is already enough for me to say thank you, Hashem. When we get into that mindset, as far as our relationship with Hashem is concerned, we will also, as a knock-on effect, we will also become more open-minded to the fact that also the tiny steps that we take are also enough to say, thank you, Hashem, that I was able to do that one thing that I really wanted to do. And Baruch Hashem, I was able to do it today. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I don't know what 3 days from now is going to bring. But today, Baruch Hashem, I was able to do that one thing. Hi, everybody. I was able to do that one thing that I wanted to do. So thank you, Hashem, for that. I'm able to say thank you for that one thing too. And so I become more patient with myself. I become more focused on enough is as good as a feast when it comes to my own steps in Avodas Hashem as well. Meaning, if it's the next step that I can do, I said before, if I only need to eat 3, whatever 3 is, and I have 503, it doesn't matter if I have 503 or only 3. 3 is enough. 3 is enough. I don't need 503. Okay? So if my next step in Avodas Hashem is once during the day, and when I say Baruch Atah, I will think Atah, and I'm talking to Hashem. I do that one thing once a day. That's it. And I managed to do it one day. And then I forget the next 3 days. And I catch myself on the 5th day and I remember again. I can still say, It's enough for me that I remembered this fifth day, because that's what I can do, because that's where I'm holding right now. I can be humble enough to be on the threshold, to be beginning my Avodas Hashem. I don't have to beat myself up and out of gaiva and say I should be more. Why should I be more? I'm just beginning. It's okay to be beginning. So if I remember today and I forgot 3 days, but I'm holding on to remembering today, it's enough because it's what I could do. It's enough because it's what I can do. And so I can say, thank you, Hashem, for helping me to do this today, even if I might have missed it for 3 days. And who knows what's going to be tomorrow, but I'd like to thank you, Hashem, for helping me today. So whatever steps we can take ourselves, even if they're small, tiny steps, we can also let that be Dayenu for today. Thank you, Hashem. It's enough for me to feel satisfaction in my life because I did this. When we live with perfectionism, which is the opposite of Dayen, which is it's never enough, it's never done. I'm not enough, life is not enough, we don't have enough, no one's enough, nothing's enough. Hashem doesn't give me enough. When we live with that kind of never enough outlook, we're always going to be miserable. We're never going to be satisfied. To put it, yes, I'm going to be sending the recordings. I'm going to be sending out the recordings, and I'm going to be sending you the Kol Loshen phone numbers to get it. I'll be sending everybody who's here, Be'ez Hashem, all of the Hemanti list. You will get all of the replay information. We want to live a Dayenu mindset. A Dayenu mindset is enough is as good as a feast. It doesn't matter how much the potential is. If all I need is this much, or this is as much as I can take, this tiny next step is what I'm ready for. It doesn't matter if I could imagine being, a trillion times more than I am. That setting up that expectation of myself to be so much more than I am is just going to set me up for frustration and lack of satisfaction in life. But when I live with a mindset of Dayenu, as Avram from Gar said, then I could say, Dayenu Hashem, it's enough for me to thank you, Hashem. Dayenu myself, it's enough for me to already feel satisfaction that I did that small thing. Look how good it feels. I did that little change, and I did it twice this week. I forgot 5 times, but I did it twice this week. Dayenu Hashem, to say thank you, Hashem, that you helped me to do this. When we make that switch, again, through Hermantik Yadaver, when we speak it out, when we start to say, oh, it's already enough for me to say thank you, Hashem. It's already enough. And we say that over and over to ourselves and out loud. Enough is as good as a feast, and this is enough. When we say that, then we're giving ourselves a deep message and to everybody around us as well. That, yeah, if it's enough, it really is enough. We don't need 20, 25 of something stuffing up our cupboards when all we really need is 4. And then we'll have more space and we'll actually feel more comfortable in our homes. We have so much. We live in an era where there's the amount of possessions that a person has or feels they have to have in order to be able to feel satisfied with their life is enormous, when actually the opposite is true. If we have enough just means whatever we actually need, right? If we have enough, that's already as good as a feast. We already have everything. It's already Dayan. It's already good enough to feel satisfied and fulfilled in my life. That's the secret. That is the secret to satisfaction. So, Rav Asher goes on. It explained the words of Avram Rav Ger that whoever is satisfied with the wealth that he has always says, die. He always says, it's enough for me. It's enough. As Chazal said, right, that our lips should, we should be so accustomed to saying it's enough, that it should become almost like worn out from saying that these are words that should be always found on our lips. It's already enough. It's enough for me. Okay, this is way we need to get to accustom ourselves to speak. And we don't try and get more and more and more and trouble ourselves. Of course, it doesn't mean that we have to stop buying things. Okay, clearly, if we need something, we need to go and get it. Okay, if your alarm broke, you have to go and get yourself. I don't know if your phone needs to be fixed. Whatever you need to dress appropriately for Simcha. We need to have certain things in our lives. We do need to have certain things. It doesn't mean that we should never go and buy. However, I remember very clearly a lady in one of my classes, talking about 15 years ago. she said that she had read a book about Berbers and Kanievsky, and she said that she decided she was going to try and limit her conspicuous consumption. She was going to try and limit how much she bought. And so that week she went out and she needed a new black shirt, that, the kind of shirt that we wear underneath underneath regular things. And she went to the store and she said it was one for 25 shekels, and let's say it was three for 60 or something. Okay, so it was less if you buy more. Now we're all familiar with this, right? That's how business goes these days. You go for one and they try and sell you a whole bunch more. And she said she was almost going to buy more when she said to herself, I only need one. I really don't need more than one. 25 shekels is still less than 60. I don't need three. It may be a better deal, but I don't need them. One is enough. And so she bought the one. If we can just think about what's enough, what's actually enough for ourselves, we can tune into, you know what? There's a level at which it's going to be enough for me. Shabbos, thank you for being here. It's enough if we can actually tune into ourselves, be attuned to what is enough for me, what makes me feel fulfillment, how much do I need to feel satisfied by whatever it is. We could actually get to a level where, oh, that's enough. I don't need more clothing than that. I don't need more food than that. I don't need more whatever it is than this. I have enough. And when it comes to this world things, that's going to give us the greatest satisfaction, because the more we want of this world, the more we'll be dissatisfied with this world. The more we're going to want more of this world. The more we become satisfied with what we have in this world, the more we can grow spiritually, the more we can acquire spiritually and get spiritual satisfaction. Okay. So the person who brings down the blessing, the true blessing into his life from heaven, is that person who gets satisfaction and says, it's enough. I have sipuk from what I have. We have a concept in Yiddishkeit called lehistapek b'mashe yeshli, to make, and it's frequently translated as to make do with what I have. Okay, but the root of the word is lehistapek, means sipuk, to actually acquire satisfaction from what I have, to feel fulfilled in what I have. If a person is just trying to make do and they say, well, we have to make do, I can't have more because I shouldn't have more, but they're really miserable, that's not getting sipuk from what I have, that's being miserable. But if a person is truly happy with what they have, if they look around them and they realize every part of what I have here, I'm surrounded by all of these blessings. Every person who's a blessing in my life, I can thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for. Every new piece of machinery or technology that makes my life easier, I can thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for it. Every single aspect of my life that I appreciate, I can thank Hashem, and I can already feel satisfaction from that. The more we do that, the more we will feel satisfaction in our lives. So we find in this week's Parsha, Yivarechacha Hashem, in the Birkas Kohanim, and Rashi explains, Sheyisbarcha nesachel, that your possessions will be blessed. So it would seem then that who is the one who actually receives the blessing of the Birkas Kohanim? Maybe it's the person who works day and night to amass more and more possessions. Maybe that's what Rashi is talking about. The one that uses all of his capacity, his brain power, his thoughts, his intuition, and his imagination, and all of his senses to increase his wealth and decorating his home and building his physical empire. We might think that's true. Chazal in the Midrash say differently. Lachach ne'emra parshas kohanim acha parshas nazir. This is why the Parsha of the Kohanim comes right after the Parsha of the Nazir, the Parsha that describes the Birkas Kohanim, the bracha, that the instruction that the Kohanim should give a bracha to Klal Yisrael and how they go about giving their bracha to Klal Yisrael. That comes after the parsha of the how do we say Nazir in English? The one who he had to grow his hair. He had to stay away from wine, and he wasn't allowed to be matame mace. Why? Shekol mi shemezir atzmai min hayayin l'shem shemayim zoiche lekol habrachas ha'umoros bebirkas hakohanim. Because whoever takes a step back from the physical pleasures of this world, the Shem Shemayim, he doesn't indulge himself in all of the pleasures of this world. And wine is taken as an example of optional luxuries. Okay, wine isn't something that everybody needs to have, right? We need to drink water, but wine is a symbol of a little bit extra. And so if a person, the Shem Shemayim, if a person holds himself back from just totally splurging on the things in this world, so he has a certain limit. He puts a limit on himself and he says, this is enough for me. I don't need everything that the Smiths and the Joneses and everybody have, but I hold myself to a little bit less. I don't need all of that. He holds himself to his own standard, no matter what everybody else is doing. And he does it the Shem Shemayim. He does it because he feels that that's the appropriate way to live his life, not to be completely buried underneath all of the pleasure of this world. So he doesn't lose himself in the pleasure of this world. He holds himself a little bit back. That's already the Shem Shemayim, because he's doing it because Hashem is the center of everything. Let's do these things in a menschlich way. Let's do this in a way that's B'chovod Rosh, that shows HaKadosh Baruch Hu is here. Let's do this in the proper way. A person who does it in that way, Shem Shemayim, he's going to be a proper vehicle, proper receptacle for all of the brachas that the Kohanim give. And so, who is the person who is going to get all the blessings? The person who is satisfied with what he has. He doesn't look for extras and luxuries and all that this physical world has to offer that is symbolized by wine. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't have wine, okay? It just means that we limit a little bit. Again, he's not saying don't have a piece of cake, okay? It's just a symbol of the extra luxuries of this world. When we draw ourselves back, we don't have to indulge in all the luxuries of this world, even if we can. When we just don't fully do that, then this is the kind of person that the Kohanim bless when they say, that your possessions and all that you have will be blessed. Then, Chas v'shalom, he won't have to go and run after other people's possessions, always looking to see what the other people are doing, and always looking to buy more and more and more. I remember something so clearly. This was years ago, at least 20 years ago. I moved into a new apartment, and because of the way that the apartment was set up, I made the kitchen somewhere else in order to be able to have a larger kitchen space, and I made a smaller bedroom which had been the kitchen. And because we were doing all the plumbing, we had to change the flooring in the kitchen and the lounge. Now, I had a neighbor across a pretty wide boulevard, okay? And I remember about a year later, I'd gone to her house for something. Maybe we're saying to him in a house or something. I don't remember what it was. Went into her house, and she was doing renovations, and she was showing me the tiling that she had in her bedrooms and in the living room. And I said, I said, very nice, and I actually mentioned, I said, when we did it, we only did in the living room and the kitchen, because I didn't need to do the bedrooms, and I only had to replace them because of the plumbing. And she said, really? You only did the living room? Oh, I thought you did the whole thing. And the way she said it was, she was kind of saying, well, I need to do my bedrooms because I think I thought you did your bedrooms. And so she was, busy trying to do the same thing that I did, where honestly, I just did a couple of rooms. I said, why should I do I didn't need to do all the bedrooms. And so it was a bit hysterical, actually. I thought it was very funny that she was actually owning up to the fact that the only reason why she spent all this thousands of shekels in replacing the flooring in many bedrooms was because she thought that that's what I had done. And so we spend so much time and energy, unfortunately, with our eyes popping out of what other people are doing, and we don't even know what they're doing. It's all often it's on our imagination. But what a waste of time and energy. And I'll end with this. Marshall, we know that there was I think it's a medrash, that there was a fisherman, and Eliyahu Navi came along to the fisherman, and he said, "You're busy, working day and night. What's going to be with the Torah?" And the fisherman said, "No, I'm so busy. I'm so poor. I have to fish. I have to go out and I have to collect the fish." And so Eliyahu said, "Okay, When he sat down, just to watch the man ate his lunch, and as he was finished eating, he was making a new net, and he was making his complex fisherman knots in the net." And Eliyahu Navi was interested. He said, "Show me. Wow, such interesting knots." And the man showed him the knots. And another thing, the man has said, "Oh, I'm too busy. I don't have the brain." He said, "I don't have the brain to go and learn." Sorry for, and it's a terrible thing to mess up a story and have to fill it in later. But okay, the fisherman said, "I don't have the brain to learn. I'm just a poor fisherman. I have to fish." Okay, Eliyahu Navi watches him tie his knots, and he's interested in the man. Shows him different kinds of knots. He says, "Wow, you really make special knots." He says, "Yeah, and I make this one, I make that one," and he started showing off all the different kinds of fancy knot work that he knew how to do. And at the end of the day, when the fisherman gathered in all of his fish, Eliyahu Navi said to him, "You have such skill and you have such a mind that you know how to make these knots, you know how to go fishing." He said, "Hashem gave you a mind to make these knots, and he didn't give you a mind to go and learn Torah." We women, we have incredible capacity for learning, for Yiras Shamayim, for appreciation of Avos Hashem, for Emunah and Bitachon, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu placed us as the linchpin of the home. We're the anchor of our homes. We're the anchors of our communities. We're the ones who know how to listen and how to support the people around us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us the capacity. We have 9 measures of speech. And sometimes people may decide to make fun of women that they talk so much. But you know what? It's dibur of emunah. It's dibur of bitachon. It's speech of faith and trust and of sensitivity and of yiras shamayim, of fear of Hashem, of awe of Hashem, and of love of Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us the capacity to talk. The more that we speak out the words of good midas and of avos Hashem and yiras shamayim, the more that we speak out words of dayenu, it's enough for me. What you did is good. It's great. It's good enough. It's fine. And we're not picking with ourselves. We're not nitpicking with ourselves. We're not nitpicking with other people. We're not nitpicking with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. But we learn how to say dayenu. The more that we use our speech, Kodesh Baruch Hu gave us speech only for mischa, only to haggle with the lady in the store. No, Kodesh Baruch Hu didn't give us the capacity to speak only so that we can exchange recipes on the phone. It's important as well. Of course, it's important as well. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us primarily the capacity to talk so that we can talk words of Torah. Torah Simecha is the Torah of Chesed. Torah's Chesed al Shayna. To be speaking words of Chesed, to be speaking words of Emunah, to be speaking words of Bitachon, to be speaking words of Dayenu, of how HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a bracha in every way that we go. And when we do that, we're bringing the bracha of the Birkas Kohanim into our homes. Be'ezah Hashem. V'tehei bracha, the bracha of Avram Avinu that will be a bracha, will be sheira be'ez Hashem in our homes, and we will learn to say die. We will learn, and we will have tremendous satisfaction from all that we receive be'ez Hashem. Ladies and friends, anybody want to unmute and add or say anything? I'd love to hear from you. Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you. Because I have what to add, but when I get started, I don't stop. So
no, add so I want to hear you go.
I can't. I'm at work, Kayinda.
Okay.
So I'm happy that I got this in, and it's so good to see you.
You know what? Put it in an email. I'll send it with the community. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Everybody, if you have something to add, send it to me, and I'll send it out to everybody. I'd love to hear from anybody. All right. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. Anybody else want to unmute, say anything, add anything? Okay. And if you do have something you want to
Hi,
share,
Hinda.
yeah,
Thank you so much for this. I love it. It's like I look forward to it every single week. And I find
so
that
great.
being grateful and gratitude is so, you look around and then you realize how much a person does have.
Yes,
And it's easy for the human body to be negative. That's how Hashem, that's how we have to work on it.
yes,
And I
absolutely.
appreciate your weekly reminders, and the weekly Divrei Torah. It adds a lot. I really
Me too.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
speaking.
Have a
Thank you for being
lechtige
here.
Shabbos.
Amen, amen, v'chein amen. Shkoyach. Thank you so much. Very special. Thank you. Lovely to hear your voice. Anybody else want to add, say something, speak up, unmute? Love to hear from you if you do. And if anybody wants to send me your reflections afterwards, if you're listening to this by recording and you have something to add or share, please go ahead, drop me a line, and I will share it with everybody. Have a wonderful Shabbos, everybody. Thank you for being here. Again, your being here gives me the capacity to share these words and inspire myself. So thank you for being here. Tiskele mitzvahs and have a beautiful Shabbos. Tei bracha. Bye, everyone.